We shared yesterday on Travis's successful surgery, that he's out for the season. Yes, on the field for obvious reasons, he'll be missed. He'll be missed, but also off the field, he's got that presence, that confidence that is infectious, right? Fortunately, we won't lose that. Our team, our locker room, will rally and continue to do so, and Travis will be right here in Jacksonville rehabbing with us for the remainder. He's already back in town, and he'll be able to get with these guys in the meetings and learning, studying, and really diving into that as he goes through this process. I understand there's a lot of questions about if he'll remain a two-way player and all those kind of things, guys. All of that is very premature. And at the end of the day, like every player on this roster, he'll be evaluated at the end of the season, and we'll be able to give him his three better, three best, and the things that we need to continue to improve upon and the things we need to build on. But right now, our complete focus is on the Chargers and getting a much-needed win on Sunday.
Hey, Liam, on Travis, you saw 7 games of him, the experiment. How much of a benefit will that be going into the offseason? Say, hey, this is what we think worked, this is what we got to change.
Yeah, and then also looking at, okay, where do we need him most, right, in more ways than others. So I definitely think the whole thing's been a learning experiment, and but getting to know the person has obviously been the most important thing, and the type of competitor, the way that he learns, the way that he competes, the way that he practices. That's stuff that we've been able to gain valuable information on and be able to use moving forward and actually put in a continued practice.
You still expect him to be your number one receiver and your number one cornerback at some point down the road?
It's all that's very premature to answer at this point. You have a lot of confidence in the makeup, the person, the competitor, the athlete, the talent. Like I said to him, so many players have gone through minor setbacks for major comebacks, and that's been the complete message to him.
Each season's over, it's tough.
Yeah, I think it's always that initial, shock is I'm sure a challenge, and then he's very fortunate to have a strong support group around him, and got a lot of guys, a lot of people that care about him. So I feel very confident that he will come through on the other side of this thing.
What are you not getting enough of now from Trevor? Is there anything there that you feel like he's not giving me enough of this?
No, I think Trevor and I had a good conversation yesterday in terms of just hey man, cut it loose and let it rip. When we do have some of those opportunities, and hey man, we don't want to turn the ball over, right? We want to turn it over on defense, and we want to keep it on offense, but we can't be thinking about that or trying to play to not make a mistake at all, right? And so the message for Trev in our conversation is to just go cut it loose, let it rip, and see what happens, right? You don't need to be Jordan, point guards, facilitators, distributors. That's what we need, and that's what we talked about yesterday.
So essentially just screw it, flame.
I mean, not, screw the play, but just more like, yeah, man, hey, it's not all going to be perfect or how it's designed to maybe always hit against, right? There's, looks that you want to try to attack, but it's more, hey, man, let's just attack this defense. And if there's windows that pop and present, man, let's feel the confidence to cut these things loose and play freely and continue to use your legs as a weapon. At the end of the day, he did put us in a position to potentially kick a game-winning field goal at the end of that thing when the ball got down to the 42-yard line, and we had the penalty. And so I know Travis Hunter said to me after Vegas, he said in the training room, when we get in 2-minute mode, and he was obviously watching, right? He goes, when we get in 2-minute mode, I believe we're going to go do something with it. He's like, I believe that. And so there is belief that we can go down and get ourselves into a position to go score, and we did, but obviously had the penalty there,
Looking
At the Chargers on third down, they're excellent on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Third down wise, what stands out when you watch LA in terms of why they're so successful on those downs?
Yeah, you look, first of all, on offense, Keenan Allen's the most targeted receiver in the National Football League on third down. He can still wiggle and win and separate, strong hands, smart football player, understands how to use leverage and get open in zones, right? And then obviously so does Ladd in a lot of ways, where they both have a great feel for zone and man and winning versus man and having a feel versus zone. They've done a nice job of mixing ball out plays with also the ability to run the ball on some third downs to be successful, whether it's with the backs or the quarterback. Whether it's designed or extending plays. We know when we do get our opportunities at Justin, we have to take advantage of him and get him to the ground. He's a big dude that can, make some plays off schedule. So, and then defensively, I think they're extremely sticks aware from their second to third level of their defense. The rush has obviously done a nice job getting some pressure and being able to affect the quarterback. But I think Jesse Minter does a great job. I got a lot of respect for him. And the zone coverages, they're very aware, and they do a nice job of pattern matching.
How rare an athlete is Justin Herbert at that position?
Very talented, man. He can make every throw, and it seems to be with ease. He's big, strong, athletic. I think they're playing to his strengths, and they've continued to try to put good skill and players around him to allow him to take advantage of his skill sets. And, I've got a lot of respect for him.
You mentioned penalties. Just how much has that sort of killed any momentum, especially when it's the early downs? You get a false start, second down, or a hold, or a first down. How much does that change how you guys play?
Yeah, so it's not fun, right? It's not a fun place to live as a player, as a coach, So, the continued message is that we're in this thing together, and that there's things that are controllable and there's things that aren't. And are we able to control the controllables? We've talked about this, and so talking and putting it into practice in critical moments or in tighter games in the fourth quarter, the first quarter, whatever it is, that's where it has to come out. That's where it ultimately means the most.
You've said a couple times over the course of the year that this team hasn't played 4 quarters of their best football.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in the season, is that frustrating? How do you fix that?
I think you would watch the Monday night game. I'm not sure that was 4 quarters of those two teams' best football either. So that's just the reality. It's football, man. You ain't gonna play perfect. We've played near in a lot of ways. I mean, even not playing, I guess you could say, our best football through those 3 quarters the other day. You were winning through 3. You won 3 quarters of the game. You lost a quarter and you lost the game. So how do you execute in critical moments? How do we go and take a deep breath in critical moments to reset and not chase plays and go just execute the call, man? Let's just go execute and play. So that's what we're focused on. We're focused on fundamentals, going back to basics. Anytime you go through a tough L, all I've been taught is to dive back into the details and the fundamentals and the players.
Are you more interested in the mindset of your team this week than any other week?
Say it again.
Are you more interested this week in the mindset of your team coming out of Houston than any other week?
Yeah, I think the post-LA, bye sting was probably a pretty good one to get judged on in a lot of ways in terms of the way that we responded throughout the week, because it wasn't just like this all great gravy positive practices. The whole, it was a grind. We were competing. It was working through things, and the way that we played showed it at the end. And yes, there was a guy open, but we strained. We did right longer, and won and came out on the positive side of it. We do need to respond. It is part of us, and we talked a lot about today that the soul of sport is team. The soul of sport. Why do we want our kids to play sport? Because of the lessons that it does and provides you as people, as teammates, as men, and that connection is what's going to get us over the hump in those moments and in a tough time like coming off a loss like Sunday.
Remember where you were you watching the Jags playoff win comeback over the Chargers back in whatever the hell that was?
I do. Yeah, I remember watching it. I don't recall where I was. I do recall watching it, though, and seeing that whole thing happen, right? And so you've been on the right side of it before, right? And to be on we haven't been, guys, right, in too many games this year aside from Carolina leading by that much, right? And my message to the team was part of learning and growing together as a team, as an organization, is we've got to learn from this. We have to learn from this. If we don't learn from this, well, what good is it at the end of the day? And in life, we learn from hard times, right? Like you actually have to look and say, okay, what do I need to confront so make sure that doesn't happen again? And that's kind of what we've been talking about is, you learn and you grow through hard times.
What's your expectation for Brenton Strange this week, and what will he do when he finally gets back out there?
Day to day, and just see what it looks like every day. We obviously have missed Brenton, the blocking, the run game contribution, the pass game contribution, the toughness and mentality. It's more going to be just seeing how he looks out there, what he's comfortable doing, how much can we put on his plate, and what that's going to feel like, especially after getting out on the grass and utilizing it and doing things and seeing what that response is day after day throughout this work week.
What do you need to see from Wyatt Miley?
Yeah, I mean, Wyatt is obviously getting him back into it, coming off the injuries there, is trying to get him to feel like he's coming off the rock like he was more so in training camp, and having the confidence to be able to move powerfully at the line of scrimmage and at the second level adjustments, and being able to move and feel confident in those movements. He's practicing his tail off. I never question at all the competitor, the guy that wants to be really good and is doing everything that he's being asked of. And just need to see him take that next step of, man, it's all the movements are looking pain-free.
Is that Trevor's hesitancy to let it rip? Did that show up on tape or in conversation or both?
No, just a couple plays. You know what I mean? Like, he made some really good throws, too, in that game, and also made some critical plays with his legs. There was just a few plays that ultimately, you want back. And what's causing this to not be executed is really just what it comes down to. And, you always want your players to, man, like, who cares? If it's incomplete, it's incomplete. Who cares, dude? Just cut it loose, let it rip, and that's why you play. That's why you play. So that's more what the conversation was.
Trevor's been sacked 5 more times in 3 of the last 4 games. How much of a concern is that for you, and how much is that limiting the offense from getting in a rhythm?
Yeah, I think it definitely puts you off schedule for sure. I mean, we knew going into that game that there was going to be some pressure, right? Like, that we weren't going to have a ton more than a hitch or two, right, in the game. And then we had to look at the route depth. Are we holding on to the ball too long? Or, man, are we not executing this block to the best of our ability, right? Like, how can we, as a group, execute protection better, right? And, against a good unit, like, that's a challenge. That's a challenge that we have also stepped up to in the past as well. And so, they got after us a little bit up front in some ways. We held on to it, maybe got a little deep a few times. Like, that stuff happens. But, I do expect us to respond this week. And we also have to continue to have a good plan for these guys to make sure that we're helping them out and putting them in a position to be successful.
Pass rush has been a big talking point as of late. How do you evaluate why it's struggling and how you can get it going?
Who's that?
The pass rush in general.
Oh, I
has
gotcha.
been a big topic.
Yeah. Look, I think we're seeing a lot of drop back pass, I think more than anybody else on first and second down, right? You know, there's some of that stuff is quick game, some of it's drop back, but it's like that combination of when the ball's coming out like under 3 seconds, it's like that 2.5, 2.7 range. It's not quite quick game, it's not quite drop back, and the ball is able to spit. It's a combination of, okay, we got to be a little bit more sticks and conscious at, you know, the second and third level of our coverages in zone, and be a little bit more stickier and just patient instead of getting out of there. And then also, you know, those guys up front, you know, these are opportunities. If we're getting that much drop back, guys, we got to go take advantage of it. And when we do have them in our hands, we got to get them down. And that's just, man, that's football, right? That's pass rush. It's not that complicated. You know, we got to cover in the front. They usually go hand in hand. And when both groups are doing their job to the best of their ability, and that's all they're focusing on, usually good things happen.